holiday brunch at my house tomorrow, and my kitchen is a mess, and I need something quick and easy that everybody is gonna love. Enter big bowl of sourdough discard, cranberries, oranges. We are making cranberry orange sourdough scones. I'm Amy from Amy Bakes Bread. I have a baking website, and I love to turn anything sourdough, especially when it tastes really good. So I'm gonna be making these scones. I'm gonna show you how to do them. They're really quick, really easy. I can actually make the dough ahead right now, pop it in my freezer, and then bake them fresh tomorrow, right before the brunch. I'm gonna start by mixing up my dry ingredients. So we're doing our flour, just an all-purpose flour. Now you can actually use freshly milled flour if you want to. That's up to you. Just fluffing this part around. I'm actually doubling this recipe for tomorrow. Adding in my sugar. And then the baking powder. Now a lot of times people tell me scones are dry. These are not dry scones. I think adding in the sourdough gives it extra moisture. And the way that we make these with some egg, they're crispy on the outside, but they're so super soft and fluffy in the middle. And they're just incredible. So if you have ever thought you don't like scones, please try these. I think that they may change your mind. Adding in my salt. And then we're going to mix this with a fork, and we're gonna add in grated cold butter. I just grate the butter on a grater like this. You work pretty fast. Just back and forth and get it into little shreds. You could use a pastry cutter, but I find this to be a little bit easier. If you really want it to be nice and chilled, use frozen butter. So you can use just cold or frozen. Look at that butter. We're gonna put it right into this flour and toss it around. We're gonna set this aside, and then we're going to blend up our cranberries. So I'm gonna put our cranberries in my blender, give it a quick little blend, and then add those into this mixture. I just like to get them blended up just a little bit into kind of rough pieces, because it gives a little pops of cranberry throughout instead of like big, bitter cranberry pops. So we're gonna pour that right into our flour mixture. I'm gonna have to get a spoon and get it out. So adding this directly to the flour mixture does a couple things. It makes the cranberries like more evenly spread throughout, but it also makes them so they don't sink into the scones, and they're gonna be evenly dispersed throughout. All right, so we've got this beautiful dry mixture here. Now I'm gonna do the liquid mixture that we'll add to this. That's gonna make up our scones. We're gonna start by pouring in our cold discard. Chilled discard is gonna work best for this recipe because it keeps the scones nice and cold. Now remember, I'm doubling it, so you may not have these same numbers as I do, or the same amounts as I do if you're not doubling. I like to use the weight measurements too. Okay, I'm gonna add eggs. The eggs really make these rich. Some scone recipes don't call for eggs. I love having some egg in here because it just makes the scones nice and rich in the middle, but still like crispy on the outside. So it's just the perfect blend. We're gonna add in some heavy cream, and then some milk and a little vanilla extract. I'm also going to zest up an orange right into this liquid as well. That's going to give a nice orange flavor to these scones. And then we're pouring it right on top. Now you want to be careful as you mix this. You don't want to mix too much because we really don't want to develop the gluten in this dough. You want it to be nice and tender, but you still have to get it mixed together. So don't be too concerned about it. I'm going to get out a pastry mat and turn this dough out onto a pastry mat to finish it. Okay, this dough looks so good. It's just come together gently. Here, it gets kind of on your fingers. I may add a little smidge of flour on top, just so I can work with it a little bit easier. And on my fingers. But typically I would make this into a circle, like about an 8-inch circle, and cut into wedges. But because I'm making this for a big group, I am instead going to make it into more of a rectangle shape. Just patting it out with my hands. And I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller so that everybody can have a bite of a scone if they want one. So it's just patting it out into the shape that you want. And then we're going to cut them into scones. Okay, I use a bunch scraper. I'm still trying to decide how many I want to get out of this. It is nice if they have kind of clean edges. I even sometimes will cut off the little bit of the edges here because that's gonna make them rise a little bit better in the oven. So I do like to kind of get a clean cut there, just so they get a little better rise. Of course, I will still bake up the edges, but they just may not get quite the same rise as the other ones. All right, so typically I would make 8 large scones out of this. Instead, I'm doing mini ones, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut them a little bit smaller since I've got a big group that I'm making these for. One cut is really what you want. You want to be able to have, like, you want to be able to have the edges like this so they're not closed off. That's going to help them rise a lot better. So these are my beautiful little baby scones. And I'm going to set them on a baking sheet and freeze them so I can bake them in the morning. At this point, I could go ahead and bake these right now, or, which is what I'm gonna do now because I'm making these ahead of time, I can freeze them and then bake them from frozen tomorrow morning. I just pulled these out of the freezer. They're completely frozen. And I'm gonna stick them in my oven, 425 degrees. I'm gonna give them a few extra minutes to bake. I just pulled these out. I'm going to glaze the tops of them now. I whisked up this simple glaze, powdered sugar, a little bit of orange zest, orange juice, a little bit of vanilla, pinch of salt, and I'm going to glaze these scones. You can either do like a bunch of glaze on one, which I think looks kind of fun, like that, or you can drizzle it over the tops like this, which is also kind of nice. Depends on how much glaze you want on your scones. All of the things I've got ready for brunch are looking good. I made these mini cinnamon rolls too, just based off of my cinnamon roll recipe, but I made them really small. So those are perfect. And then I've got these cute little banana muffins as well with a little crumb topping. I'm gonna add some egg casseroles, some fruit salad, maybe some dips, and we'll be good to go. getting ready for this brunch, but I had to taste one. These are so good. A little crispy on the outside, super soft in the middle. This is not at all dry. Pops of cranberry, hints of orange. I really hope you make these. You're gonna love them.